I want to say hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today for our Monday Healing Steps Facebook Live and the Bridge to Healing community. Now, if you're new here or tuning in for the first time, I'm Janine Naus, your grief and trauma relief specialist, and I combine my personal experience and my professional knowledge to support you in your healing journey. So if you're watching the replay, go ahead and drop a pound replay in the comments. And if you're here with me live, say hello and type pound live. I love to know where you're joining me from today. So today, we're going to explore a liberating theme, and it's called Free to Be Me, Embracing Who You Are After Trauma. Now, this conversation is all about finding the courage and compassion to love who you are, not in spite of what you've been through, but because of the strength and insight it has brought you. So let's start with something that many trauma survivors quietly wrestle with, and that's the difficulty of feeling at home within yourself. See, after trauma, it can feel like you've lost pieces of who you once were. Your self-trust, your confidence, your clarity about what you love and what you need, or even how you can define yourself can get buried under the pain and survival mode. So there's this internal question that echoes, who am I now after everything I've endured? And closely behind it, can I still be me if I feel broken? What if people see the cracks, the parts I don't want anyone to know? See, these questions are tender and they're incredibly normal. Trauma doesn't erase who you are, it distorts your connection to yourself. And it can dim your light, not extinguish it. It can cloud your sense of identity, not destroy it. What I want you to know is this: your essence, your heart, your truth, your core, it was never lost. It may be hidden, guarded, or buried under layers of protection, but it's still there. And healing isn't about becoming someone new, it's about gently returning to who you've always been, not with shame, but with grace, not with judgment, but with curiosity, not by force, but by invitation. This is why embracing yourself can feel so hard, because it often means facing what hurt you without letting it define you. It means holding the pain without becoming the pain. And that takes time and compassion and safety, both from yourself and the spaces you surround yourself with. So that's why I want to invite you into a moment of reflection, because these experiences often live in the background of our healing until we give them space to be seen. So here's your reflection question. Have you ever felt like you had to hide parts of yourself to be accepted, or silenced what you really felt in order to fit in or avoid judgment? Okay, let me repeat that in case you wanted to write that down. Have you ever felt like you had to hide parts of yourself to be accepted, or silence your truth just to belong? Now, if that resonates, drop a yes in the comments or share one word that describes what that felt like for you. And I'd love to hear from you. Now, let's move into what it really means to reclaim your identity after trauma and how you can begin to embrace yourself one small piece at a time. So, now that we've explored how trauma can make it hard to even recognize ourselves, let's talk about what true freedom looks like, especially after trauma. Now, when I talk about being free to be me, I'm not talking about being flawless. I'm not talking about having it all figured out or being healed to perfection before you're allowed to show up fully in your life. I'm talking about being honest, being real, being grounded in your truth, even when that truth includes fear, grief, or uncertainty. See, true freedom is not about reaching some fixed, perfect vision of yourself. It's about giving yourself permission to be who you are today, right here, right now, with the wisdom your journey has already given you. And it means you don't have to shrink to make others comfortable. You don't have to hide your healing process because someone else isn't ready to see it. You don't have to apologize for the way your experience shaped you. You get to speak up, take up space, and show up as the person you are becoming, not the version someone else expects you to be. That is freedom. And the truth is, freedom often doesn't start with big, bold declarations. It starts in the quiet moments. And it starts when you stop judging yourself for how you feel and start listening with compassion instead. It's in the pause between self criticism and self kindness. It's in the breath you take when you choose grace over guilt. It's in the courage to say, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm honoring where I am. So give yourself permission to be human, to be healing, to be in progress. That's where the freedom begins. Now let's talk about what it means to feel safe enough in your own skin to live that truth out loud. Now we'll move into that next here in a moment, but let's keep going here. What I want to do is now that we've explored how trauma can distance you from your true self and how freedom is really about permission, not perfection, let's take a moment to reconnect with that truth in your body, not just your mind, but in your body. Because healing isn't just about understanding something intellectually, it's about feeling it, practicing it, and slowly allowing it to settle into your nervous system. So let's do something simple but powerful. And together, we're going to do this right now. So if it feels safe for you, I invite you to gently close your eyes. Beautiful. And then place one hand over your heart. Maybe the other hand rests on your belly or wherever it feels comforting for you. So I want you to go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose and then slowly exhale through your mouth. So go ahead, take that deep breath in through your nose and then slowly exhale through your mouth. Now, slowly and softly say to yourself out loud or in your own mind, I am not who they said I was. I am who I choose to become. Great. Now let those words sink in, not just as a thought, but as a truth that your body is beginning to remember. You are not the shame. You are not the silence. You are not the labels or limitations others placed on you. You are not the trauma. You are the one who survived it. And that survival didn't erase your worth, it reveals your strength. This is your invitation to come home to yourself, not to the version of you that learned to hide or please or protect everyone else, but to the one who longs to breathe freely again, to laugh, to rest, to live. And that starts by getting curious, by listening gently, by asking yourself, what would it feel like to be free in this moment? So here's your journaling prompt for today. What does freedom feel like in my body, in my relationships, in my healing? So let's go ahead and say that again here. So you can write it down if you like. What does freedom feel like in my body, in my relationships, in my healing? Then write from your heart, no judgment, no pressure, just listen inward. Even one sentence, even one word can help you return to yourself. So let's wrap up with a few thoughts to carry with you from here. I'm going to share a little bit of my story. Now, this part of the conversation is close to my heart because it's something I've lived. There was a time when I believed that if I acknowledged what I had been through, it would define me. That somehow speaking it out loud would make it more real, or worse, make me seem weak. So I did what many of us do. I tried to stay strong. I tried to rise above it. I tried to move on without ever really facing what had happened. But in doing that, I wasn't moving forward. I was actually abandoning the very part of me that needed love and acceptance the most. The turning point, wasn't loud and it wasn't dramatic. It came in quiet moments when I stopped running from my story and started turning toward it, not to justify it, not to relive it, but simply to honor it, to say, this happened and I'm still here. And really what happened was something began to shift. I started to realize my freedom doesn't come from being perfect, it comes from being whole. Not the kind of wholeness that looks polished or put together, but the kind that allows for truth, the kind that holds space for joy and sorrow, clarity and confusion, strength and softness. Even with the wounds, even when in the mess, even on the days when healing felt so slow, I questioned if I was moving at all. I began to see that, and you can be free and still be healing. You can be free and still feel afraid sometimes. You can be free because you're finally choosing to see yourself with compassion instead of criticism. And that's what I mean to offer you today. Not a promise of perfection, but permission to be in process, to be in progress, to be free to be you, even if you're still figuring out exactly what that looks like. But here's something else I wanted to name, something that might be part of your story too. See, when trauma survivors begin to speak their truth, it's not always met with the understanding they hope for. Maybe you've heard things like, oh, that was a long time ago, or why can't you just get over it? Oh, you're too sensitive. You're stuck in the past. Now, these comments, even when said with good intentions, can feel like a dismissal of everything you've carried and everything you survived. And that can be deeply painful because trauma isn't just about what happened, it's also about how alone you felt in it and how often your pain went unseen or unacknowledged. So, if you've ever heard those words, here's something you can say, not for their approval, but for your own self affirmation. This happened, and I'm still here. It's a powerful truth. Just saying, this happened, and I'm still here. Not because you need to convince anyone, but because your healing doesn't require their permission. Saying this happened and I'm still here isn't about staying stuck. It's about reclaiming your story. It's about honoring your resilience, not erasing your reality. And that's what began to shift in me. So when I stopped trying to silence the story and started holding it with compassion, I didn't become more broken. I actually became more whole. And that's what I want to offer you today. Not a promise of perfection, but permission to be in process, to be in progress, to be free to be you, even if you're still figuring out exactly what that looks like. So let's take that into our final reflections together. Let's take that into our this message, and if it resonated with you today, I want to remind you of something that's really important. You're not alone in this journey, and so many of us are learning day by day how to reclaim our voice, reconnect with our body, and remember who we truly are underneath the pain. And while that pain can feel lonely at times, I want you to know there's support here. There is space here for all of you. If this conversation spoke to something deep in your heart, I warmly invite you to join us inside the Bridge to Healing community on Facebook if you're not already there. And this is where we gather for weekly healing steps sessions like this one, share tools for emotional healing, and connect in a safe and understanding space with others who get it. And if you feel ready for more personalized support, if you want to talk one-on-one, and you want to take one small but powerful next step, I'd love to offer you a healing connection, a no fee clarity call. Now, this is a 30-minute call where we can gently explore where you are now, what's feeling heavy, and how I can support you in ways that feel kind and grounded and empowering. Now, this free call, you don't have to have it all figured out. Just come as you are. You are already enough. And I want to thank you so much for being here today, for showing up for this moment, and for showing up for yourself. You are free to be who you are, even in your becoming, even in the messy middle. And that is a beautiful, brave thing for you. Now, I'll see you next in the healing step session. Until then, be gentle with yourself. You are worth showing up for. Thank you for joining me. Bye bye.